In this video, we're going to break down how to do this Houston Cold animation along with the caption style in the ending, as it was very requested on how to execute this caption style without After Effects because of its time consumption. All assets used in this video will be linked in the description below. Make sure you check it out and let's get into the video. By the way guys, this is gonna be probably the last Houston Cold or Bart VFX style tutorial in a while. I'll get to Iman Gadzi and this stuff next. So yeah, let's just get started with the tutorial. So first thing, as you guys saw in the intro, we have this part and then it transforms onto this part. So let's finish the easy part up first. Basically, I wanted to show you guys the best way to do captions, the way these are done in a very similar style. So now I just freezed this layer so we can add captions onto it. So yeah, the website is called Submagic, which is in the description below. And once you're in the website, which is basically an AI, on your purchase you can use code AR7 and you get a 10% discount, which is very crazy for the amount that is so less. You're gonna get a 10% discount on it as well. And listen, you can do this in After Effects as well, but I would really suggest you to use an AI or a tool like this instead of spending so much time doing the same exact captions on After Effects. So let me press on new video and import this. So this is the frame I froze, and you can choose any language you want over here. And then even name, I'm just gonna keep it the same name and press on upload. This is what opened up for me. And as you guys can see, there is so many styles over here. Devin Jatho, Ali Abdal, Iman Gadzi, Mr. Beast. So for instance, let me just press on Ali Abdal for example, and then play it. You can see, amazing. And by the way, don't worry about the video behind. As I said, I froze the frame because I didn't have a proper frame to add these captions onto. Personally, I love this style a lot, and I think you guys might even be seeing it a lot on Instagram. They go crazy viral, as well as Iman Gadzi. Okay, so the one that Houston Cold did use was Tracy. Now don't worry, this is customizable. That's the whole point of this app. So first thing we have is thing like the size. Let's make this bigger, put it below his neck, and then press on edit theme. Get over here and make the display words just 2, and you can see we have the exact same caption style. Now we go over here and we choose a nice font, which is gonna be Montserrat, and then heavy. Wow, we have the exact same thing. And now we can also adjust other settings such as the shadow. I'll make this large. The stroke, I'll make it none. I'll keep it none. Animation, yes. Now check this out. A business and grinding in a video game are exactly the same. Amazing guys. This has done such a good job. And let's even go over the other things that they have, which is over here if you see any mistake. But because of its accuracy, almost there's never a mistake. So we're not gonna have to adjust anything. But let's say I'll just adjust the funny and I'll make this the not funny. And just gonna make this. So now you can see it's the not funny. So it's very easy to adjust and mess around with. You can hear it as well. And then we have B-rolls. In B-rolls, it automatically adds B-rolls for you and it does it very well. In our case, we don't want any B-rolls. And then auto trimming, in our case, we have it trimmed as well. And then this stuff where you can literally publish your video and add all of these things from the side of the app. So you guys saw how much time we saved, and this is crazy hack guys. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export it and look at the export speed. It's gonna be crazy fast. Let's choose the quality. We're gonna make it Ultra HD just to show you guys that it can be very fast. And boom, we have the video.
Funny part is that
I'll just press download. Now I have it in my folders. Amazing guys. This is crazy good. Make sure you check this out. It's in the description below. And as I said again, there is a 10% discount code. All you have to do is just type out AR7. So with that being said, let's get on to the animation part right now. So the first thing we're gonna do is literally start with a black solid, make new, and then solid over here. And if you guys want to know how to make the interface like that, make sure you check out my first Houston Cold video. I did break down how to do this exact interface. So now we have this, and let's just write out the text, which is I used to have this. So I'll write that I used to have this. And then what I'm gonna do is do Control Home Control Alt Home and then Control Home, and we have this in the middle of our screen. Now let's change the settings up, have this on Montserrat, light, and make all caps. Now you can see we have the exact same thing. I think it's medium. All right, now we're gonna do Control Home, Control Alt Home again. Let's make the paragraph in the middle, and now I'm just gonna scale this down, expand this a little bit, and pretty much we have it in the middle. Now what we gotta do is literally just do opacity word by word. But before we do that, we introduce something called camera. Just gonna keep this here for now. We're gonna make this 3D as well. So for this animation, we're gonna use something called Text Evo. This is gonna be in the description below, so don't worry, it's for free. So we're gonna go to transform, do opacity, and then literally just go on this button and make it based on words. So now what happens is that it is animated word by word, and we're just gonna make this a little bit faster by going to the delay and making it lesser. So now it's gonna be, I used to have this, and obviously it looks pretty similar, and at this point the word crazy comes out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place a marker by pressing the star button on my keyboard, so we have a marker over here. And this is gonna be very simple. I'm just gonna press position over here. We wanna bring the word crazy, by the way, and this is the marker we place, and let's say until over here. So this is how it's gonna be, and then it's just gonna go a little bit down. So I used to have this, it's gonna go down until this point, I think, yeah. And we're gonna do F9, okay, and do something called the middle graph. And basically the middle graph, it looks very good. The main speciality with it is the smoothness that it has. So I'm just doing 80 on both sides. So this is how it's gonna basically look. It's gonna have this smooth movement as well. I think if we make this sharper, it's gonna be a lot better. So let's play this. Nice, okay. Now we wanna introduce the word crazy. So I'm just gonna duplicate this actually, and then write crazy, okay. And then I'll make this to scale bigger. Let's change the font to, for example, Babis New Bold. So now you can see we have the exact same font. Just gonna make this bigger, so at the end part this is how it looks, and I'm gonna bold this out. So this is basically how it's gonna be. I used to have this, and then crazy comes up. So for the word crazy, what we want to do is actually we want to position it to be bigger, so that at this point it's basically coming at speed, you know, or at the peak basically. So you're gonna see the word crazy, it pops up fast regardless of the camera being pretty slow, and this is an old trick in the book, guys. So over here you can see it comes up pretty fast. We want it to start coming up at this point, so I'm gonna pop it out over here, press the plus sign, do transform from down with opacity. So now it doesn't look that good, I'm not gonna lie. Make the delay, let's say 2.5. Gonna make this closer. Yeah, okay, that's pretty close. So this is how it's gonna be. I think we can have this to be smoother, to be honest. If I just make the delay a bit more, never mind. But yeah, this does the job. And now we want to get to the main part. And by the way, at this part, obviously I used to have this disappears. We're gonna get more into the overlays in the ending. You should always focus on animations and this stuff first, and then get onto the overlays and making stuff look good in the ending. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to add the red, basically shatter overlay. However, it isn't an overlay, it's BCC shatter, which is basically gonna pop up at this moment. So I'm gonna add like a marker. All right, and now what I'll do is I'll do right click, go over here, solid, get over here, and just make this towards the dark side, so it's a bit darker rather than very red. And over here now I'll add CC vignette. Okay, so now I'll decrease the angle of view, or actually increase the angle of view, and I'll keep the CC vignette around the same. And now I'll add BCC shatter. So now I have it. It's basically BCC 3D image shatter. And if you don't have BCC, just do it using the normal shatter effect, and then go over here to shape and do it with glass. Okay, but I'll stick to BCC image shatter because it's pretty similar to what he has. And what I'll do is basically have it start at this point like this, And I'll go to radius, for example, increase the radius. So you can see right now it's gonna be to this point. Let's see if we can adjust this from here actually. And now we have something pretty close to what he has, except I'll cut it out. So it's something like this. And I'll go to move, and over here I'll just do a little bit like center of velocity type thing. So it's basically more towards the middle side, and then just like the variance, so you can see. And then let's see if I play it. Okay, it's not something too bad. I mean, it's pretty similar to what we want, and it's gonna pop up, let's say, at this point. And now I'll enable 3D, and now what I'll do is I'll pre-comp this, okay, and I'll enable 3D, and then at the end of it I'm gonna do Control Alt Home, okay, so that it's zoomed in the exact same way we want. And I'll take the position of the word crazy, come over here and paste the same positioning. So you can see right now, this is how it's gonna look. Okay, well, it's not that bad. Obviously, once we add like a shit ton more effects, it's gonna look better. But yeah, let's add CC vignette to this as well. So you can see now it's a lot better. And then now we're gonna go with the twist effect. So let me do new and then go to adjustment layer and add an effect called twist. So it's gonna be CC twister, or actually it's called twirl, sorry. So it's gonna be this twirl effect, and you can see we're having something similar, and we want it to basically rotate to a very high point. So before I do the rotation over here, what I'm gonna do is just connect a null layer to this camera. So I'll right click over here, go to null object, and on the null object I'll connect it to the camera. And then the null also has to be 3D, and then I'll do Control Home, Control Alt Home, whatever, for the null as well, so that it's placed in the position that it has to. And I'll just go over here and change it to whatever color, so example yellow, just so we can identify it easily. And let's say the peak of our graph is going to be over here, so I'm going to place a marker. And now what I'll do is press on position. Oops, I actually removed the 3D, by the way. I'll have the 3D come up again, and then go around like 5 frames in front, or 6 frames, 1 2 3 4 5 6, not 6 frames, 60 frames. So it's Control Shift right arrow and do this. So this is actually, I extended this a bit too much. It's gonna be like that because we want it to overlap. And now it's gonna basically go down till this point, I'd say, and we're gonna have the twist in place exactly. So I'm gonna now keyframe the angle, go onto the first keyframe, make this, or reset it, get over here and basically reset this as well because it's not done properly. And then we're gonna add 3D onto the adjustment layer as well. And now you can see if I twirl it so much, I can see if I do this, then I keyframe the twirl radius as well, like this, and then increase this as well so that it's like, it looks like it's a lot. And then I keyframe all of these, F9, okay, go over here, do this graph exactly. I mean, redo that graph because I messed it up. And now this is how it's gonna be. Pretty smooth, very smooth, but we want it to happen a bit faster. So I'm gonna pull this forward, and we want the peak to be somewhere around here. So this is how it's gonna be. So let's play it real quick. I wouldn't say it's that good in terms of graphing. So what I'll do is I'll extend this from here. Okay, extend this from here as well, and then increase this graph so that it's very sharp and it has that constant kind of movement. So I used to have this crazy, okay, not bad. And then I'll go onto the black solid and keyframe this opacity from here so that it goes 0, or not 0, but low at this point. So now this is how it's gonna be. Actually, did it onto the wrong layer. I was wondering why it's not applying. Pasted it over here. So this is where it's gonna go 0, and then we're gonna have it come suddenly to 100 over here. This is how it's gonna look. You can see it's basically disappearing with an illusion, but then it hasn't actually disappeared. So yeah, we're gonna have this. For the vignette, let's remove it from the top of the layer. Basically, I'll add an adjustment layer and then add more vignette onto it that I basically copied from there. And now this is how it is. Nice. So I used to have this. Nice, amazing, amazing, amazing. and it's gonna have another effect called Gaussian blur. It's gonna go on top, and it's gonna be around 30 or 40, I'd say, not too much. 25. Okay, this looks decent. Amazing. And over here we're gonna now add the word wild. So let me do Control T and write wild, paste it, put the font as like enter, and then it's gonna be enter bold italic. This is a very similar font, and it's gonna be bolded out as well, so that's good. I think we want it to be more black, and then I'm just gonna do the italic from here. So now what I'll do is I'll do 3D and then Control Alt Home, Control Home. So now if we check it out, it's gonna come up smoothly with the movement. And what I'll do is I'll basically have it animated with text evo. Do here that. So position from down and opacity 0. And then delay would be a lot, so each letter comes one by one. And I'm gonna push this so that D is coming at this point. Now I'll cut this out over here and position it from here, do F9 and then pull this forward. It's gonna be the exact same graph, but you can see that looks shit. So over here we're gonna reset the position, or not reset the position, but take this position and paste it. It's gonna be basically, it will look like an illusion that it's coming from the right, and it just skips some frames. Yeah, so this is pretty smooth. I used to have this crazy wild, nice. And then at the same time over here, while this is going down, I'm gonna have another text that will say addiction, and we're gonna have this as red. We're gonna change the font to Babys New Bold, and then make it 3D, Control Home, Control Alt Home. So this is how it's gonna be, and we'll start having it keyframed or animation from this point. So for this one, we wanted to pop out letter by letter with no like smooth opacity. So for that, we're just gonna do it from the text animator that's built in within After Effects. It's good for opacity, but it's not good for things like position. So now I'll have the opacity 0, and then I'll keyframe the end from 0 to 100 this way. So now keyframe start, come over here and have it on 100. And then I'm gonna do a fast graph. So this is how it's gonna be, even faster in the starting, that's slow in the ending. And just frame after this comes up over here, I'm gonna basically now add a black solid. So Control Y, come over here, make this black, just put it over here and pull it so that it's just pops up at this point. So everything disappears at this point. So now this is how it is. Okay, you can see it overlaps it. Crazy wild addiction. And then there is also the movement that it's supposed to have. Do Control Home again, scale this down. Let's see if the scale is any better. Okay, what I'll do is I'll make the position of this like a bit higher, and then lower the scale down so that just when it comes up a bit faster, you know. Amazing. Let's put this down, and I'm also gonna add a full stop. So I'm gonna play this. Crazy wild addiction. Amazing. Now we want to go on to the controllers part, which is basically the main part. So now at this point, I'll add another null layer to the current null layer. I already showed you guys how to add a null layer. So I'll press on the null layer button, and we're gonna have a movement with rotation as well. I'll rotate all of them, whatever it is. Something like this, and in the end, it's gonna be a bit bent. So it's gonna zoom in, right? And we're gonna have, okay, so the rotation is gonna be towards the Z side like this, and then just keyframe this so that it's like fast in the middle. So this is how it's gonna be. Yeah, I used to have this crazy wild addiction. Nice. Now the video controller part comes. For that, if we find the 3D model, then I'll obviously show you guys how to do the element 3D part. Otherwise, I think there are some just stock footage of 3D out there. But yeah, let's search it together, because many of you guys have been requesting me to search 3D items with you, which I don't know why, but let's do it, no problem. So this is my Google. Let's search up 3D PS5 controller free model, and then you can see over here we have a bunch of options. So I'm just gonna mouse click on all of them, and basically whenever we look for these PS5 models, we always need to find an OBS model, and obviously free. Now you can see the $sign over here as well, but this is Sketchfab, and over here you can see that we already have a 3D free model, and it's pretty good as well. So let's try to download this model. Now if I download, you can see we don't have OBJ model either. So every time whenever you write, just try to do OBJ. You might find an OBJ version. Let's check OBJ, because if you guys don't want to use Blender, then you will basically be forced to have to use Blender. Okay, you can see over here it says OBJ. This is not the best controller. The controller does look pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie, but again, it has OBJ model, which is the only model Element 3D or 3D inside After Effects is supported. So now I press download, and I'll get back to you guys once it is downloaded. What I'll do is pull up over here, go to new, go to solid, and then add element on it. Element is a plugin that you guys need. You can find for free on YouTube. I'm not gonna link it in the description, unfortunately, because I don't want to be against terms in YouTube. And then I'll go to import. Just before I go to import, I'll copy the file location, go to import, and this is what pops up. I'm gonna press OK. So now what I'm gonna do is press on normalize scale, and here you can see we have our controller. But the problem comes when we have to add the texture. Because it is a controller, it gets really tricky over here, and it is easy to add the texture, but it is a bit of a long process. So let's just mess around ourselves, just make the controller look good from our own side. So because the edit is kind of red, I'm gonna actually make this red and press OK. Now you can see we have the controller over here, and pretty much I'll just go to group 1 here, create a null, and press on create. You can see our null is pretty much created. Now I'll just scale this up. You'll see this will also rotate, and do the animation, and then we're gonna basically duplicate it. So the animation is gonna be something very simple. We're gonna change the position of the controller to be like on the sides, somewhere around here. But before we do that, actually we need to make the box that he made. So for the box, let's go over here, and we set the stroke to this, and we make it rounded rectangle tool and scale it up this way. Now I have a box as well. I'm gonna add CC vignette so we can have the same type of borders that he had, and then add 3D, then do control home, control alt home, reverse the rotation. So I'm gonna do this, but add minus, or actually let's do this. Now we have this reversed as the rotation as well, and I'm gonna add something called trim path, and that is gonna be added from this point onward. So I'm gonna go on to trim pack, press in, come over here, purge it. This is just so I'm clearing the memory as well. I'm showing this in the tutorial, so this is something you guys can do when your After Effects lags a lot, because it is in my case right now. F9, make this graph. I already showed you guys a couple of times, and now we have the exact same graph as well. Now it's just some last tweakings which are very easy as well. This is the controller. So for the controller, let's rotate it in this direction, have it like this. I'm just tweaking it, guys, don't worry too much. Now I'm gonna change the position so that it's something like over here, have this below. I can see the triangle or the square that we have, it's basically above the controller, and also pull this black solid, so now this is above. And the animation is gonna be very simple. We're just gonna have it something constant so that it end up at this point with these rotations, and at this point when it pops up, it is just a simple kind of smooth thingy. So it is, and as we're gonna start it like very sharp, so starting once it pops up, it basically is already starting to move. Or no, let's just leave that, have it F9 without any graphing. Yeah, now I will pretty much duplicate this. Okay, now once I duplicate, I'm gonna create a null for this one as well, so you can see it's created. Now and I will rotate it so that it's this way, like this. Boom, boom, amazing. Now just gonna drag it with the position onto top of the rectangle. So now it's dragged over here. Okay, now we're gonna do a rotation for this as well. Nothing too serious, something simple. So rotation, keyframe, go to the starting. We're gonna have it like this. Boom, boom. Okay, not bad. Yeah, now we have the controllers as well animated. Pretty much now what we need to do is one last tweaking. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this addiction text and to video games. This is what it's gonna say. I'll delete the range selector, just delete the animator as well, and then gonna have it normal Montserrat, extra bold, white, not caps, nothing of this, just small little text that will now be animated with text evo like this. Go to words, boom, boom, boom. Now we got the animation exactly, and we're gonna counter this by doing 7.3 as you already know. And while this is popping up, the opacity of this will go down to 0. Now these also to suddenly pop up, so these also we don't want them to suddenly pop up. We want to go on over here, press T so position pops up. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 frames. Keyframe it again, go in the starting and make the opacity 0. So like you see, this will basically also come up with opacity slowly. And there is one very cool effect that he did, is that there is basically a solid that comes up. So I'll do solid and it will be red. Okay, and then it's basically gonna appear at this moment. It's gonna have CC vignette to the maximum level, like a lot of CC vignette, and then make the opacity like way more down. And I'm gonna increase the opacity from 0 to 27. So at this point it'll be 0, and then when these lines pop up, and then with the word addiction, it goes to 0 again. So when the word addiction finishes, it goes 0. So it's basically like type of thing, smooth like out, I guess. Nice, 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 nice. Which is another solid text, or another solid over here. It's gonna have CC vignette, and it's gonna have a lot too, and it's gonna be basically like below these texts, and we're gonna add noise to it. It's gonna be like kind of noisy, but only within the circle. You can see right now the noise is also on the background, which is something we don't want, but I'll tell you we can fix that easily, don't worry. So now at this point I'll basically go on to opacity and scale. Have the scale at this point basically something like this. So if I add deep glow, you can see the background will automatically get fixed. If I add linear color key, you can see the background's all automatically gone. And I'll just increase this so that it's more intense, and basically this is how it's gonna pop out from 0. By the way, it's gonna come up like this, or a little bit higher, have lesser opacity, and then pretty much go to 0, and it's gonna be 3D as well. So this is how it's gonna be. But this is a bit random, but if I do scale and I make it very fast, you see now that I have this like craft in the middle, so that doesn't go suddenly. You can see now. Okay, not bad, not bad. Now let's do the tweaking, guys. So I'm gonna pretty much do Control A, Control Shift C, so everything is pre-comped. And then the first thing we're gonna add is basically the following. I'm gonna go to my recent animations, and I'll add my preset over here. You can see I have turbulent, displacement, deep glow, and posterized time. And then turbulent displacement, random seed, is keyframes from 0 to 30. That doesn't matter. So now you can see this is already very smooth, way smoother. Nice, amazing. It's a lot better now. And now what we want to add is pretty much at this part, yeah, I'm gonna add an adjustment layer, and I'm gonna add CC vignette. That'll be very strong, but it's gonna have opacity from like 0 to when the controller comes to 100. Go over here back, make it 0. So now you can see it's gonna be basically like this. Let's play it. Amazing, amazing, guys, crazy. All right, so I think that was it for the tutorial. Don't think there's any much more tweaks we really need to do. It's pretty simple, very good, very clean, and make sure you check out Submagic in the description below. Use code AR7 for 10% discount. And yeah, with that being said, see you guys in the next video. And if you want the project file, check out the description in the below as well. Bye bye.